Hi guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer. And it is Tuesday, and the colors for Tuesday are black and red because it is the day of Mars. And Mars is known as the god of war, and he co-rules Scorpio, but he also rules Aries. So these people, Aries in particular, tend to know how to get what they want. That's just kind of in their DNA. Like that's their thing. And as a Pisces native, I kind of admire that about the Aries because I don't feel like I have that. But I'm working on it. I'm definitely working on it. So today I wanted to talk about crystals because I get a lot of questions about crystals, starting a collection and what they're used for, etc. So if you're one of these people that doesn't have a ton of money to go out and buy crystals, because some of them can be really expensive, the cheaper crystals that I have found have been the aventurine and quartz. And they're relatively inexpensive and they come in all sorts of colors, which is great because you can spend a little bit of money and get a color for each day. So today is Tuesday, and I have always loved this rock ever since I was a little kid. It's obsidian. Now I have to tell you, I got a huge box full of this on eBay, very cheap, years ago. And obsidian, I don't know, I just find it fascinating. And I love color. And obsidian comes in colors too, but there's just something about it that I love. I don't know, it's like glass. It reminds me of like, I don't know, sea glass or something. I don't know, the camera probably doesn't do it justice because my phone is really old and not, super advanced, but obsidian is relatively cheap. And they say that it is formed when lava comes out of the volcano and hits water. It makes this amazing rock. So the color black is protective. And it's funny because I think that we have this thing in our head that like black candles, black cats, that black is associated with darkness and evil, but the truth is it's associated with protection. So if you're looking for a protective rock, obsidian is great. The thing about obsidian is that it does absorb negativity from those around you, negativity from yourself. So if you do carry a piece of obsidian or you have one in your home, you want to be very mindful that you do cleanse it every now and again. Cleanse it in the moonlight, cleanse it with sage. At the very least, run it under water every now and again just to get that cleansing. So that would be one of the rocks I carry on Tuesday. Or sometimes I make them into pendants and I wear them as a pendant. Now, if you're not all about the power of crystals and you think it's kind of out there, you don't really buy into it, that's okay. But we've all heard of those stress relief balls that you hold, right? And you squeeze it to release stress. You can do the same thing with your crystal. Sometimes I felt like just holding it was channeling some of the anxiety that I was suffering from into the crystal. And what you can do is you can buy a box of cheap crystals, charge them up. You can use them to get rid of your anxiety or your nervousness, and then you can cleanse it. And when you feel like the crystal has done all it can do for you, give it to someone else. Cleanse it and give it away. If it breaks, they say that you should give it back to the earth. Sometimes I'll give it to somebody if it breaks, depending on the crystal. And I also have like a stream that runs like in my complex. Every now and again I'll throw it into the stream if I break one and I'm like, okay, this feels like it's done all it can do for me, I'm going to give it back to the earth. And then I always think that maybe when it's floating downstream, maybe somebody else will find it, someone that needs it. So I also have with me today fluorite. This is a fluorite skull and it's rainbow fluorite, so that's like green, purple, and maybe like a little bit of gray in there. So for this skull, there are many philosophies behind why the skull is used. A lot of times people will just like meditate into it by looking into its eyes. But I just kind of like skulls. I mean, I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. Anyway, fluorite is great for concentration. It's good for memory. If you're taking a test and you're studying, this is a good crystal to have with you, near you, when you're studying, help you retain the information. This one, do not leave it in the sunlight because the sunlight will fade the color. So just mindful of that. And fluorite is another one that comes in several colors and it's not very expensive. So some of these crystals are more expensive than others. Rose quartz, which is great for Sunday. because it's pink. Pink and orange are like the colors for Sunday. Relatively cheap. You can buy all sorts of shapes, sizes. They say to keep a piece of rose quartz in the back of your closet. And they also say to keep two pieces of rose quartz in your bedroom. Okay, because it's for love. It's for love and companionship. This one, oh my God, I've had it for so long. This one's really pretty. I mean, I love the color. I love color though, so you can't go wrong with color. This one here is another one that's for unconditional love. Both of these. So this one here was much more expensive. It's tourmaline. This one here is Cabochon calcite. This one was cheaper. Calcite's also relatively cheap in relation to, like, tourmaline's more expensive. But it's the pink color. So these are great stones for people that have a hard time accepting love. I'm one of those people. I have a hard time. I'm real easy to give love. It's not easy for me to accept love. So these are great for those types of people. And also, I wouldn't leave these in the sun. This one may be okay, but anything like this, I wouldn't leave it in the sun. It may fade. Anyhow, so you want to use pink or orange on Sunday, the day of the sun. Monday would be white for the day of the moon. Tuesday, black or red for Mars. Wednesday is green, and the green one I have here is bloodstone. I doubt you're going to be able to see the little red flecks in it, but there are red flecks in this. Anyhow, bloodstone is great for stimulating the heart chakra because it's green, which is the heart chakra, and it's red, which is love. It's also great for people that are overcoming heartbreak or they're trying to move on from something that was heartbreaking. Bloodstone, I don't think that it's very expensive. I can't remember what I paid for this one. I've had it a long time. Oh, I don't have it with me because it's in my car, in my wallet. I know. Why is your wallet out in the car, Danny? Because that's just where it is, okay? That's where my citrine is, because the citrine, which is good for Thursday, put it in your wallet or you put it in your cash register if you own a business and it's said to bring money in. And citrine is yellow and the color of the day is yellow for Thursday. Friday would be lilac or purple. Amethyst is great, but you could use the fluorite if you have it. And then Saturday is blue or black. So what I have here with blue is one of my favorites, is calcite. Sorry, there goes the dog getting in his crate. Calcite, which is also pretty inexpensive. You can get it in all different colors. It comes in orange, green, blue, pink. There's a lot of colors. Not very expensive. And then I have this, and God help me, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but I'm going to try. Celestinite. Great for Saturday, which is blue or black, or even like a deep indigo could be good for Saturday, which is the day of the sun. So those are just a couple of crystals. I have more videos on crystals on my channel, and I will make more because people always ask for them. But say you don't have a lot of money, you want to go out, buy a couple of crystals, it's great. Get calcite, you can get amethyst, relatively inexpensive. Quartz comes in all colors. Aventurine, calcite, they're great. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Some people don't like to order them on the internet. They feel like they want to touch them and hold them. I don't feel like, I feel like whatever you feel. If you're really turned off by ordering them on the internet, then go to your local rock shop. Sometimes if you go to a shop, they're more expensive because, that's just the nature. They have to pay rent and they have to pay their employees, where somebody online may be a little bit cheaper. And also you can always get them on eBay. But whenever you order something or whenever you buy something, always remember to cleanse it because you just don't know who's held it, who's been around it, and what it's absorbed. So that's my 2 cents on crystals for today. So now back to the law of attraction, which I've been working really hard on because, and I say it all the time, I see all the disasters that I created in my past. I see all the things that happened to me that I didn't want to happen to me, but I literally spoke them into existence and it was almost as if I was saying it to somebody, like I wanted the person to tell me that wasn't going to happen. And then it wound up happening. So if you can create all of these situations that are unfavorable, then why do you think that you can't create favorable ones, right? Now, I have been working really hard on trying to watch my thoughts. So yesterday I caught myself at the kitchen sink. And I'm at the kitchen sink. I was washing something. And my mind was going like a million miles a minute. And I had all these crazy thoughts happening. And I literally had to stop myself and no, stop. Because the truth is, we are in control, right? We have more control than we think. And the more, all right, let's do it like this. The probability of something happening, if you keep thinking negative, like say you have one positive thought, right? And then you have 45 negative. Well, you sent out 45 thoughts for something that you don't want. Only one thought for what you do want. So stop right there and just negate it. Say, you know what? End that, cancel that, forget that. This is what's going on. So one of the I'm probably one of the most frustrating things is when you wait for a phone call. And I always think about it when it's snowing out and I have to leave for work and I want to know whether or not my class is going to be canceled because I'm afraid to drive in the snow and I live really far away from all of my jobs. So waiting for that text message can be very frustrating. And it's classic scenarios. You put the phone down, you go outside, check the mail, shovel out the car, whatever you got to do, you come back in and there's your text message. It happens all the time. When we put it down and we remove ourselves. But what if you can't? What if it's in your mind and you just can't let it go? Well, the best thing to do is just to keep turning it into something positive. So the text message came through. Text message came through. I didn't get the text message yet, but it's coming any second. I know it's coming. I know I'm going to hear from this person. I know it's coming. Always leave it on the positive rather than the negative. Whereas I think in the past, I always felt like if I braced myself for the worst, I was, I was ready for it. But then that's what you get, and that's not what you want. So it's very easy, right? Like when somebody says to you, well, hey, just think positive, right? I mean, how many times did you want to punch someone in the face about it? If we are reflecting back exactly what we're putting out there, then it's your own fault. You have no one to blame but yourself. And if I were to look back on my life, I can see all the times that I did this. And not just in one area of my life, in all of the areas of my life. Not feeling like I was good enough for the part, and not feeling like I was good enough to fit into the group, and not feeling like anybody liked me, and not feeling like I was popular enough. Meanwhile, if you look back on your life and you look back on all these situations, yeah, hindsight is 2020, but you're like, really? Really? Like I wasn't good enough for that? I mean, like who was it? What was the situation that you weren't good enough for? So it's very interesting, when you look back on things and the way you created them. And now the situation is just proving you right. And, I always bring it back to my voice only because it was something that embarrassed me for so long. I mean, being a kid, always wanting to sing, loving to sing, always being turned down for auditions, always thinking that somebody else could do it better than me, having people make fun of me. I had people make fun of me all the time. Like they would be like, "Oh, you have the worst voice ever," and like you say it jokingly, but to me, it was something that was very hurtful. Or people just not thinking, or people praising other people. Oh, so and so is so good at that. Oh, yeah, well, you and we're not good at that. No. You know what? Why is it that everyone else was always better? Because I allowed it. I allowed it. And then there was a point in time, and I'll never forget it, well, there was a couple of times. There was one time. There was one time, now there was alcohol involved, so maybe there was a little bit of cloudiness on, the judgment here. But I was at karaoke and I sang one of my signature songs. I don't know if I could turn back time or Total Eclipse of the Heart, something like that. I was probably singing all night, and I was in the bathroom. And when I came out of the stall, the two girls that were washing the hands were like, "Oh my God, it's the girl with the voice." And I thought that they were kidding. I thought they were making fun of me at first because, like, I was thinking, God knows I can't sing. What's wrong with these girls? And they were like, "No, we really like your voice. We love hearing you sing." And like I said, they were drunk probably, but it doesn't matter because you know something? It's a moment that's stuck in my head, and I think about that all the time. Another time, and it's happened a couple of times where students, sorry, the dog is adjusting himself. Um, Students after class will say to me, "I really like your voice. It's very soothing." And it took me a long time to believe that. Like I thought that the people were just saying that. And you know, like it took me a long time to realize that, you know what? I'm just as good as everyone else. Well, I mean, you know, like I guess you just have it so ingrained in you that you're not good at that, that that's what keeps coming up. And then of course you keep bringing up situations where you're going to prove to yourself that you're not good at it. Another situation, this is so funny, and this has come up only because I work in a school with kids. So sometimes being back on a school, you know, brings me back to my elementary school days. So we're in the gym and the kids are playing like a basketball or something. And I remember this time, this is so funny. We had, I guess it was like some kind of a gym test that you had to take during the year. And I don't know, I was in elementary school, third, fourth grade, something like that. And I'm telling you, it was on a wing and a prayer that I was like getting the basketballs in. First of all, I was very short when I mean, I'm still short, but I was really short in elementary school. I also was not athletic. I was sick all the time. I hated gym. I didn't want to have to do anything that made me exert myself because I couldn't breathe. I had asthma. I had all kinds of crap. So we were doing the basketball test where I remember you had different positions and you had to throw the ball into the basket. And if you, like, there were so many different levels, and then when you got to the highest level, you were going to have to go to like the state or the county or something. Whatever it was some kind of a test that went beyond just the elementary school I was in. I'm telling you, it was a wing and a prayer that I got these balls in because I never played basketball. It's like it was sheer luck. And I thought to myself, oh my God, I better not get the next one in because if I do, I'm going to have to move on to the state. And I can't do that. And I remember thinking the girl that I was up against, thinking that she was into sports. She had two older brothers. And I was like, she's so much better than me. Hopefully she gets it in and she goes and I don't. And she did. Of course she did. And of course I didn't because I threw it for myself. I didn't want to go. I was afraid. I didn't think I was good enough. I would rather not go to the next level and give it to somebody else than take a chance of having to go to the next level and not make it. So what happened to me? I didn't make it. You know, like, and these are just little things that came up. And if you look back on your own life and think about these little things, when somebody showed up that was better than you, or a situation came up and you think that you were good enough for it. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And oh my goodness, sorry, this guy. But it's true. It's the way that we grow up and the things that we think. And then I also think to myself that I have a really, really acute memory. I don't know, I get it from my Sicilian grandmother. For some reason, we forget nothing, which I think can make things worse because you remember every time somebody made you feel like you weren't good enough, and then that's what keeps coming up. And then you're in a situation that's similar, and it's very easy to connect to the feelings of not feeling good enough because you felt them so many times, and feeling like you're the best person for the position, the job, the whatever it is, activity, is hard to feel and hard to put that out there because you never felt that way before, which kind of answers the question as to why people find themselves in the same situation over and over again with the same feelings in the same situation, but with different people. These people are just showing up and proving to you what you already believe. It doesn't matter. It's not about that person. It's about what you believe. And that person just reflects back to you what you believe. Like I remember, and I've said this before, I was having a conversation with somebody, and we were talking about this mutual acquaintance that we knew. Now, I happen to think that this acquaintance was a vicious bitch. And this woman thought that she was a wonderful person. So, how can two of us have totally different ideas? Well, it was an idea that I made about this woman in my head, and she always reflected that back to me. And the same thing with the other woman. But now look at what happened. I was the one thinking that she was vicious, and this woman was thinking that she was wonderful. So who do you think had a better situation? You're always going to have a better situation if you think higher of the person, because that person will reflect back to you what you think about them. So do you want to go through life spending all your time and energy with people that you think are vicious and mean, or do you want to go through life with your time and energy focused on people that are nice and wonderful? So think the highest, and that's what they'll reflect back to you. And then in the end, who's the happier? Who's happier, me or her? Obviously, she was happier because she had a better experience with this person than I had had. So it's something that's really interesting to think about. And another thing that I bring up all the time too is running. Because when I tell you, as a kid, I couldn't breathe. I mean, I was always sick. I always bronchitis, all kinds of shit all the time on the nebulizer, all kinds of problems. So for me now to be an adult and I go out running every day, okay, I'm not the fastest runner, but I run every day. I couldn't run as a kid. So what does age have to do with it? Nothing. It's what you think about. I don't think about it. I don't think I have asthma. I can't do it. I tell people now I can't even remember. I mean, I sometimes I wheeze a little bit if it's really cold out, but for the most part, I don't even think about it. And when I was a kid, I was sick all the time. I just don't think about it. I just put my sneakers on and I go outside, and I'm like, and I say to people, I'm a long distance runner. I'm a long distance runner. That's what I do. I'm not very fast, but I can go out and stay out for a couple of hours if I had the time, because that's what long distance runners do. I don't do that because I don't want to jeopardize my knees and I don't want to overdo things. But like today I did 4 miles. I did 4 miles yesterday. I'm comfortable with that. In the summertime when it's nice out, I'll go out for some longer ones, but I don't do it every day. I don't get crazy about it, because getting crazy about it, that's when things start to, um, then you can have injuries. And that's because we're human and we force ourselves to do things that maybe we shouldn't. And it's really funny because we all do it. So I'm talking to this woman at yoga, and she's a woman I know for a long time, and we were talking about like doing different inversions. And I'm not real crazy for doing inversions, because I feel like this is my theory, and people may argue it, but your head is only like 7 or 8 pounds. So your cervical spine is really meant to hold up your head. When you're upside down, if you don't have proper arm strength and you're not holding yourself up with your arms, your head is taking the weight of your entire body. So I don't think that it's healthy for the cervical spine to hold 100 pounds or 150 pounds or whatever it is for a long period of time, or just so that you do it. I think that the cause of possibly making an injury, or I just think it's not worth it. So we were talking about, like the theories of doing a handstand or a headstand up against the wall, which a lot of teachers will say, well, once you do it at the wall, you're never going to come off the wall. Number one, I don't care if I ever come off the wall. I'm still upside down and I'm working on holding myself up with my arms. And number two, so what? You're still upside down. Why do I have to take the risk of flipping over or hurting myself or hurting somebody else, whatever, just to be upside down? Now, listen, I very rarely do people hurt themselves, but I just don't think it's that necessary. However, the ego gets involved. And the ego, when it gets involved, is like, I've got to do it. I'm the best. I'm going to show everyone I can do it. Everybody look at me. I'm doing it. Like that's the ego thing. It's the ego that is making you do it. So you want to find some kind of a balance between letting your ego take over and feeding the ego. Look, I can do it. Look, I can do it. You know, like me going out and running 25 miles every day and winding up having no knees and no hips because I did it. Look at this, I did it. Well, where's my monument and my medal? My medal? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares how many miles a day I run. Nobody cares how many handstands or headstands I do. It doesn't make any difference. Ooh, look at her. I mean, it's stupid, but that's the ego. And that's the same thing in all the things that we're trying to manifest and all these things that we want to cultivate. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the ego, and then you're jeopardizing something else. I mean, it's stupid. You know, if you go out, like people will say to me, well, they have these things that you can put on your sneakers. I don't know what they're called. But I don't know, something so that you can put them over your sneakers and you can go out and run in a snowstorm. Okay, great. Now, if I fall and bust my ass in a snowstorm, I'm not going to be able to run for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, or maybe ever again. Now, if I take the day off and I stay home when it's snowing and go out tomorrow when the roads are clear, chances are I'll survive. So you got to kind of, you know, is it the ego that is like, I can't miss a day of running, I have to go and do it? Well, you have to be careful with, you know, like at the end of the day, we're all human. And breaking something, it's never the same again. I mean, they say it with relationships, they say it with body parts. I mean, go take a plate out of your kitchen cabinet, throw it on the floor, glue it back together. Does it look like it's the same? No. It will always be broken. So yeah, I think that there is a fine line between letting the ego take over, and it's the same thing with the law of attraction. It's the same thing too when people contact me and they want a tarot reading, talking about an old flame. Are you really in love with this person, or does your ego want him back or her back because they jilted you and you feel like, you know, you want to correct it or right the wrong? Well, sometimes you gotta better be careful with what you wish for, because you could get stuck with this person and you don't want to get stuck. So anyhow, so if you have any questions, or if there are certain crystals or things that you want me to go over, if you have any questions about the days of the week, it is suggested, you know, it's funny because it depends on who you talk to. And I think that whatever you really believe is what works for you. So, like, I have read that Monday's not a good day for spell casting. It's sort of a day to kind of turn in. You know, it's more about reflecting because it's the day of the moon. It's emotional. It's, you know, but if you think that it is okay, then it is okay. I mean, and what is a spell? Like, I think about it all the time. Like, I have this little poppet here that I made a couple of weeks ago. Do you really need to make this? No, it's all about the intention. Oh, it smells so good. It's got spices in there. It's all about the intention. And if focusing on making a poppet, or focusing on dressing a candle, or focusing on the flame of the candle helps you focus your energy to what you want rather than what you don't want, then I think that that is helpful in attracting what it is that you do want. And all right, I'm going to stop babbling right now. All right, and it's so funny. I have a friend of mine who watches all my videos, and I'm pretty sure that he knows who he is. He always says that he feels like we're roommates because he watches them at home and he listens to me in the car, and he feels like I'm always there with him. So if you like and subscribe and share me with your friends, I can be your roommate too. It's good. I crack myself up. Nobody else thinks it's funny. I do. Meanwhile, the dog is being so good. He's just laying down. Maybe now that the summer is coming or the spring is coming, I'll do some videos outside with him. I don't know if I'll be able to handle all that, but we'll see. All right. If you like what we're doing here at the Magic Junk Drawer, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for